All right, here we are. Week 2 of the summer free agency. Summer League California Classic was over the weekend. The NBA draft has passed already. KD, Kyrie, Miles Bridges, and his contract situation. Honestly, a lot has happened in about a week's worth since the last time we recorded. Mm-hmm. And just with that being said, real quick, I'm John W.
Fresh X.
And we are the Hoopers. But, like I said, a lot of stuff happened in this past week. Like, say, free agency got kicked off. Some contracts were signed. Some trades were made. Some future precedents about how players get traded might, have some implications. Some Ricky Maxes were signed. Controversy as far as player movement. Not controversy, but what's the word? What's the better word than controversy? A lot of things going on. I don't even know the word for it, but I don't want to call it controversial because I don't think it was necessarily controversial, but I'm going to start there. So we all knew at first, Kyrie was ready to go for a sign and trade from the Nets about a week ago. Like I said, right after we recorded, right before, was that before we recorded our last one?
I think it was right after when it was said that he was given permission
to seek a
sign and trade. Yeah.
Right. So you had that.
And he opted in.
37.6, like that, or, people thought he was going to take $6 million from the Lakers.
That was never going to happen.
Right.
Dumb thought. If you ever even thought that's what he was going to do, you're not taking yourself seriously.
No, facts. And then, because of course he said he's going to come out and he's going to finish what he came to do there with KD and, just honor that. Then approximately a day later, it comes out that KD asks for a trade, and then everybody makes their first jokes, and Kyrie did this, and KD don't want to play with him no more. And then you have it come out that they still want to play together, just not on the Nets. This offseason for the Nets, before we get to KD and Kyrie strictly, has been one that I don't think anybody saw coming. I know there was earlier reports saying that they would choose between Bruce Brown and Nick Claxton. It seems like they're not choosing either one of them. If you're the Nets and just looking at this offseason, how do you fix this? Because more than likely you probably are going to have to trade KD and Kyrie. How do you best salvage this offseason before we get to KD and Kyrie specifically?
Right. I mean, honestly, and it was said that Rich Kleiman was the one that submitted KD's trade. He told ESPN that that's his business partner. I mean, really, they're in more control than I think that's being made out of, because they don't have to trade them. They're under contract, honestly, so they don't have to trade for anything. So it's still like the main thing is just, for one, seeing what are the opportunities out there, and then having, I would say, what is the vision for what they want to do.
Right.
Because if you do decide to move up both of them, is it to rebuild, or are you moving them and then you still want to compete? It's going to be the drama because of who is involved with it. But I think that they could be in a worse position. I mean, because if you trade Kevin Durant, you either finna get a lot of draft picks or an all-star type of player, and you can go from there. You got Ben Simmons on the roster, and I mean, Ben Simmons is an all-star, all-NBA player.
Right, sure.
Some of the drama it's the basketball size of stuff get lost into it to me, because, I mean, even if they did move Kevin Durant and Kyrie, it's not like they're going to get nothing back. And you still got Ben Simmons on the roster, who's been an all-NBA player. It's not like, oh, my God, what's happening? It's just because of who was involved and how it went down to make it the drama. In the basketball side ain't even really being considered for real.
No, sure. Like I say, the KD and Kyrie specifically, their tenure in Brooklyn has been, although they've had some highs, of course, they were 2 seed the season before, losing in the second round. And then there was some, lows. They didn't really get to be on the court together because both of them, various injuries. And Kyrie last year this past season with a vaccine.
Right.
I guess it's not fair to really judge them because, like I say, they didn't really get that much time on the court. But and like I say, can't even do. I don't even want to do a perfect world scenario. But was it worth the risk signing them two? Because I mean, of course, the answer is yes, like always. Because you get two players like that to jumpstart you.
That's where the basketball side of stuff isn't being considered. Now, for me, it's two different things for this. Was signing Kyrie, because Kevin Durant is totally different from me than Kyrie. Because they obviously signed him and he missed the first season because of the Achilles.
Right.
Was signing Kevin Durant worth it? It's always worth it.
No,
and
yeah, like
you had to get Kyrie to go to be involved with it. I can understand that too, but I understand why they would sign Kyrie also. But because people are going to look at their other players and the team that they had, and they're going to lie to themselves and say they were fine before with Jared Allen and Karis LeVert and Spencer Dinwiddie, D'Angelo Russell. People are going to lie to themselves and say that they were okay with that team and that team was going to compete for a championship, which they're lying to themselves. Just like they're lying to themselves now, thinking that their team won't trade for Kevin Durant if they are trying to win a championship in the next 3 years. Everybody just kind of lied to themselves about all this because of the drama. So it was definitely worth it the moment you signed Kevin Durant and you decided he was gonna miss the whole season. I think you kind of knew the up and downs that was gonna come with Kyrie, but what you didn't know was the vaccination situation. So I think that's what made everyone reevaluate this situation, because it's gonna come down to, are you gonna do whatever it takes to be on the court, and it's gonna ignore the other side of the vaccination situation where it's not like an everyday thing. And I mean, if you don't want to take the vaccination, that's just your choice. And you know, it was a weird time where the rules wasn't fit for that, and now the rules are. So if the rules were then what they are now, will we even be having this conversation? So you don't really know. So it's just kind of weird how some of the stuff have went down. But even from the first season, when they started with Kenny and then he left because he didn't feel like it was going to be a developmental type situation, and I guess maybe he saw some issues there. I don't remember why he left, other than he knew they were trying to compete, and that wasn't where he was at with it. Excuse me, but it's definitely worth it to sign the top player in the NBA at the time and still now. And then even if you have to move on from him, it's not like you don't have a future, but they're gonna take their jokes if they end up trading them or whatever. But I guess the real question, which probably never be answered from both sides, is what kind of tipped Kevin Durant, because any reports that's coming out, I don't even really believe them about what they're saying is all this forced narratives of this is like the Lakers being involved and stuff like that. Like, I don't believe none of that stuff. So I guess the real question is just like what really made it go left for Kevin Durant in particular, because he signed his extension. I'm not surprised it went the way it went with Kyrie, but I just wonder where it went different to make Kevin choose to. Because if Rich submitted the trade, ESPN reported that Rich submitted it straight to Woj, and Rich is his business partner. So if it's from Rich, it's official. I would say it's official. He said some stuff on Twitter, but he hadn't really alluded to the trade or anything like that. So I think that plays into the narrative too, where, like I said, that's where they kind of play the game. To me, I said the same thing about Kyrie when he did the BET thing. I didn't realize that was his manager though. His sister. No, that was his stepmom. I think. I mean,
no, his
whole family. They got a business together, but his whole family work together. His stepmom does some managing stuff to him, and that's where it comes.
Yeah, because that's the new thing too this past season.
Yeah, but I think they're never gonna say nothing about it or speak on it, and I guess you can't publicly say about some things, but it would be interesting to find out what really went, what made him decide, all right, let me go search something else. Because you would think, on paper, Kyrie's back for another year. He signed his extension. You got Ben. Man, if everybody's healthy, they probably compete next year. So we'll see where it all goes from there, though.
No, yeah, I feel what you mean. Like I said, California Classic was this past weekend for Summer League. Have you seen any of it? Any highlights or anything?
I saw a little bit of. I saw Keegan Murray's first night, because I know a lot of people were hyped about that because he went off for like 26. Yeah. I saw that. I seen a little bit of Scottie Pippen highlights. Scottie Pippen Jr. He's been playing well.
Mm-hmm.
So I've seen a little bit, but I haven't really been locked in the summer league.
That's cool because, like I say, it's just started. It was like say it was just California teams.
Right, yeah, there's the California one. It's not even the the Vegas. I watch more.
It's not one in the Vegas.
I usually don't watch the California one, which has been newer recently. Yeah, sometimes I will watch the Orlando one. But I don't even know if they're doing the Orlando one anymore.
I think they replaced.
I used to like the Orlando one playing in the practice gym, playing in the little bitty gym. The Orlando one was always like the trenches of summer league. Now summer league is just basically like another program. Now it's all like televised stuff, which is cool because you making that transition, and it's good that it's a spectacle. It's a business, so the business come with it. But I don't really watch the spectacle of the summer league and everybody kind of building it up and overreacting to everything that happens in summer league. But I did want to watch the Vegas one because I know, I want to see Detroit's team.
Yeah, they got basically their whole actual NBA roster, which is smart.
I think it is smart. When you could do that, you could do it. I always remember LeBron's summer league and him playing with Darius Miles, DeJuan Wagner played. Boozer was out there.
Everybody except for Gaskins and Ricky Davis.
Which in this because they were like vet, so they can't play. But if you like people in that within 3 years for real, maybe 3 years for real. Darius Miles probably was the oldest one out there, but still young. He came out of high school. He just wanted to play with LeBron.
We'll get some workouts in while we run this.
That show Detroit's taking it serious. In Detroit, they feel like their team.
They should make Dwayne.
They trying to compete. I mean, I would because why not?
I would be out there. I don't know if I would be coaching, but I would definitely be out there.
I'd be coaching because why not? Why not? Especially
you would be coaching from the bench, or you be.
I coach from the bench because especially if all those players are playing, because some of them, I guarantee you, some of them probably wasn't even though they're young players, they probably weren't even asked to play. They probably just said, "Hey, I want to play." Start building the chemistry because they're not playing through the draft no more. Obviously, if they don't, they're not gonna compete next year, so they're gonna get a lottery to later first round pick. But they trying to make the play in. You can tell they trying to make the team. That when they put a team out there like that, they trying to make the play in. People think they're trying to win a summer league championship. Nah, they thinking further. They're trying to make the play in next year.
But just to speak on Keegan Murray, who, of course, when he got drafted, everybody said he was number 4 pick, Sacramento Kings. Everybody said Sacramento was gonna fumble that pick and draft Keegan Murray, which they did. I'm not gonna say they fumbled it or not because like I haven't really necessarily been in tune to college basketball. I know I got homies that do this thing as well as cover college a lot better than we do. And like I say, he had a good summer league game, and of course, once you have that game, we got to be patient with these players, and you never know what you can get, this, that, and the third. Every rhetoric you can think of, and every time I hear it, especially like it's a player who probably shouldn't have been drafted where he was drafted in, and they come out and have a good summer league game or have a good summer league, I always go to Anthony Randolph, who I feel like was a summer league champion. Like Anthony Randolph had amazing summer leagues, but it never translated. And it's like just how we have to be patient on a player having a slow start in summer league and regular season, whatever. We also have to kind of curb our expectations or be slow to hype down when a player has a great start, because people will hold you worse to a bad take when you say a player's gonna be good than when you say he's gonna be bad.
Right, it's just letting the players play and watching them develop. Like at the end of the day, it's still summer league. You should honestly be playing well because besides a few of the G Leaguers and a couple of overseas players, and it's some different players there because you got the free agents that are trying to make teams and stuff like that. But overall, these are the players you were just playing in college. Honestly, like you're in the league, but you haven't made it to the league yet. Like it's not even preseason. So, but it's good to see the players come out and play their game and show that they're comfortable. Bigger, NBA court. NBA rules,
system,
so it is good to see them come out and play well, and then you try to take that over into training camp or whatever. But I mean, some of it is just all about the people that is trying to be right, and it's like you're not right now. Even if whoever it is, if they go on to win MVP of the summer league, that doesn't guarantee them minutes on the court. I mean, Sharif played really well in summer league last year. He led summer league in assists. Sharif Cooper, he didn't play other than garbage time for the Atlanta Hawks this year. He was in the G League all year. So you just gotta let these players play. I'm excited to see him play in the summer league. I wanted to see Jalen Johnson play also for the Hawks, but he's hurt. I don't know what his injury is, but he's out. So I don't think he's gonna play. But interesting seeing Sharif and AJ Griffin out there. A lot of people like him. The young player that the Hawks drafted. But yeah, he can play really well, which is good. But let him keep going.
Not a glass half full, not a glass half empty. It's just water in the glass right now because it's summer league. But over free agency, which everybody is on thumbs and nails waiting for Shams and Woj every tweet according to the Twitter streets.
And I didn't see a lot of tweets about Keegan after the second game either, so that's why you got to keep saying right, you drop 26 the first game, you 4 for 15 the second game.
Right,
let's let them play.
Right, like I say, people are waiting up for every Shams and Woj tweet. According to Twitter Street, Shams is destroying Woj as far as dropping news. Jalen Brunson, as expected, is going to sign the Knicks. Did sign the Knicks 4 years, $100 million, 25 million a year. Malcolm.
It was $104 million.
$104 million. Malcolm Brogdon is going to the Celtics. To add some more backcourt depth from creating off the dribble. I like him and Marcus Smart because I feel like you can play him and Marcus Smart together as well.
Yeah, Brogdon been attached to the Celtics for a couple of years now. The player that they should trade for. He plays defense, solid offensive player. So yeah, that was a good pickup for them to solidify. Like you kind of and Peyton Pritchard played well for them in some games and even in the playoffs. But I feel like they was depending on him too much in the playoffs, and now you add Brogdon. I think Brogdon fits into that role a little bit more. So you go on Marcus Smart, Brogdon, and a full season with Derek White. That makes the Celtics better.
Yeah, Dawson absolutely upgraded that backcourt because I think all the guards can play together in some type of way on or off the ball. So I think that's real important as well. Isaiah Hartenstein also went to the Knicks. Mitchell Robinson.
Who went to the Knicks?
Isaiah Hartenstein, big man, Clippers, Houston Rockets. Slight noise, but he's going, front court depth. Mitchell Robinson of the New York Knicks is the first Knick to sign a second contract since Charlie Ward in '94. So shout out to Mitch getting that contract. Of course, DeJounte Murray got traded to the Atlanta Hawks for Gallinari and three future first round picks.
Right, and Gallinari gonna get bought out. So
and he's also he's expected to join the Celtics as well.
Oh, I see. I didn't even know that. That's what's up. That's a nice. I can see how Gallinari helps the Celtics.
All right. And just to hit the brakes real quick on the DeJounte Murray trade to the Atlanta Hawks, who a lot of them know. And then of course Kevin Huerter was traded to the Sacramento Kings. Where do you think this trade getting DeJounte Murray put the Hawks? Just as far as the East, not in the whole NBA landscape, but as far as the Eastern Conference goes.
Right. When we first heard about the trade,
also happened after we recorded.
I said, we talked about that there was the potential, but that's when we thought it was for John Collins. A lot of people thought that was who was going to go. And I didn't love the idea of it, but then I did say if later we talked about if we was able to do it and you keep John Collins, I liked it a little bit better. But the main thing that I liked about it after it went down, it was made real obvious that it was something that Trey Young was for, which is good, which means he's going to be open to play. If that's a deal that he wanted to make, he's going to be open to doing more things on the floor, which you want to see him be able to do. Mainly play off the ball more. So I don't think this puts the Hawks over the top as far as being, all right, the Hawks should be thinking NBA Finals. But you already have Trey Young, and you see what he's able to do because once you get in the playoffs, all you got to do is put yourself in position in the fourth quarter. And when you got that player, he can win games. So I think the Hawks are putting themselves back in position. They're in the playoffs this year. I think this gives them the opportunity to be in the top 6 next year, especially if you're hoping for a healthy season. And I think more moves are to come. And we add some key role players in Justin Holiday, Aaron Holiday.
Right.
I don't really. I love that I can say on here I don't really care about the Mo Harkless move because I remember when I first got back on Twitter, a guy called me points per game Twitter because I said Mo Harkless doesn't move the needle. And he really doesn't. He didn't then. He doesn't.
How long you been waiting to say this?
He's played on 3 teams.
How long you been holding this?
No, when they got traded, the other
I know
day,
we talked about this before, like not old head, like. But how long you been waiting?
But I didn't even realize I don't know where I was going the other day, and I was listening to 92.9 the game, and the dude said that Mo Harkless was in the trade. I was like, damn, Mo Harkless was in the trade. And I remember this dude told me like he was going to be such a key piece to whatever the Heat, and he didn't even last the season with them. And this ain't no shot at Mo Harkless. It's just everybody that just. It's like we live in a world now where they either overly love role players or people hate the role players. And it's like he could be a key piece, but dude got mad because I said I don't think he was gonna make a difference. So he's not gonna make a difference on this Hawks team. I'll be surprised if he really plays, but Nate likes some vets. But I like Justin Holiday because he can shoot the ball. He's a smart offensive player. He's going to defend.
Right.
Aaron Holiday is a solid backup. I would like to see Sharif,
especially with DeLon Wright also.
Right, because where did he go?
I do not remember.
I think he got a decent little deal. The Hawks fans, they didn't call nobody out, but they don't deserve DeLon Wright. They didn't deserve DeLon Wright.
No, they didn't. They didn't.
Because DeLon Wright is what he is. He's a solid backup point guard, good defender. He played his role, and but. You're now looking at having potentially the best backcourt in the East, potentially, because they still got to play. We still got to see how it work out. Right. I didn't initially love it. I still don't love it. I still want to see them. Let's see how it looks on the court. I like the idea of it, but I don't love it thinking, all right, the Hawks about to be in the Eastern Conference Finals. Right. We'll see. What I like the most about it is being aggressive, though. And I like two things about it. Being aggressive, seeing a first-time All-Star is available, and being able to go get him and not hold on to draft picks because the team isn't thinking develop. You know what I mean? So I like that, and I like the best player on the team wanting the team to make a trade for a player that's going to change how he has to play the game. Those two things says a lot about what the Hawks are thinking and even what Trey is thinking, and I think that deserves an opportunity to be seen through.
Right. No, yeah, definitely. I was definitely bring that back up, but just real quick before we get out of it, before we change the subject, like I said, DeLon Wright did leaving this in this offseason, and DeLon Wright and Trae Young had a lot of good minutes together, especially as an offensive defensive type combo, where he would even let Trae would let DeLon Wright run the offense a lot of possessions.
Exactly.
Do you think, because like you say, Trae Young has to, not approve of it because you just a player, no disrespect to him, but he has to be on the same same thinking as management. When
you want him on board. He's your young star. You gave him this extension. You want him to be on board with it.
And then even with Nate McMillan having running those lineups at times, he also clearly sees the potential in it. Do you see, and like say Mo Harkless and Justin Holiday bringing in as wing defenders, DeAndre Hunter, you expect John Collins to be a better defender this year to keep improving as a defender. You hope Clint Capella is healthy so he can be a defender, protect the rim and whatnot.
Yeah, when he's healthy, he's top 2 in the rebounding.
Big O coming off the bench. Do you think with a lot of these moves, starting with the DeJounte Murray move, was more of an emphasis on just defense in general? Like, we want to be, because we know we're going to be able to score. Like, say, DeJounte Murray was basically 20-9 last year. Trae Young, 27-9. John Collins, for the most part, his career has been 18-10. Still got Bogey gonna come off the bench. Do you think they was thinking specifically defensive with a lot of these moves though?
They were thinking a few things. Shout out to Easy Money Kev on Twitter. He said that he thought that DeJounte Murray was like DeLon Wright times 5, basically the also version of DeLon Wright. So clearly they did see that, and those were some opportunities when we did see Trey play off the ball last year. So you did see that and think this thing could work, and then you add that because the defense is just as good, if not better, with Murray. He's an all-NBA defender. He made all-NBA defensive first team, second team, whatever it was, in his second year in the league. So he's legit defense. I think it is more of a commitment to defense, and I think it's more of a commitment. Last year, one of the things that Travis Schlink, the GM, said, and shout out to Landry Fields, youngest general manager in the league, he got promoted to that a couple weeks ago. But he said that he felt like they were trying to feed too many people. It was too many. You know what I mean? Because remember a couple years ago, everybody got these deals because you want to stand them and see what they have, which is what you do when you got a young team. Like veteran teams, you rotate other players in because this might be his night, whatever, kind of how the Strength and Warriors teams did. But usually teams have a rotation. People know what they're going to do.
Right.
And that wasn't a thing with the Hawks last year. And you saw they started to try to go to addition by subtraction last year by initially trading a player in Cam who was playing a good amount of minutes. Like he was a rotational player, and you traded for a player who didn't play, and you also didn't even pick up didn't even extend his deal. So yeah, he a free agent.
Deal with Detroit.
Right. So that was literally a move to move on a player playing 20 minutes to get a player that's not playing. Who a player you don't even plan on signing because it wasn't even like, all right, let's see what he could do.
Right.
It's like, all right, we need everybody to be locked into their roles, and this is what they're going to do. That's why I don't think they're going to bring Lou back. You trade Kevin because you see that Bogdanovich is flourishing in that bench role. He plays well on the second unit because he can come in and just score. He can play make if it's there, kind of lead that team, but he can play with the first unit also. You add DeJounte Murray, so you know he's your starting two, so you don't even want to play all right, Bogey or Kevin game. No, Bogey, you got to be ready every night this year. It's on you. You don't have the safety net or whatever. And even with like Gallinari, obviously you had to give him up to get DeJounte. And Gallinari, when he's healthy, he was such a good player for the Hawks because he could isolate on that. You know, he plays in that kind of Dirk range. When he's on, he feel like he Dirk. So he play in that kind of Dirk range. So to even move on from him is also like you're expecting, and it may be some other moves that get made, but they're expecting DeAndre Hunter to take a step this year, be healthy, be consistent, because we've seen what he could be when he's healthy. It's like he's always about to break and then he gets hurt or whatever. John Collins being healthy. It seems like they're going to be committed more to ball movement on the offensive end this year, which is something that he's wanted. So flourishing in that role, committing to going to the next level defensively. I think everybody's roles are going to be more carved out this year. They're going to have a team where it's some depth, but the Hawks aren't trying to play 11 players.
Right.
Like we're going to play our 8, and if we need to go a little deeper, we can, because you still got young players. You want to see AJ Griffin, Jalen Johnson, Sharif Cooper in particular, those three.
Right.
But definitely more of a commitment to defense because, all right, cool. You got Trae Young. We know Trae Young is not a defender. I do think he needs to be a willing defender. That's all you got to be. It don't matter about being locked down. You just got to try to play defense.
Right.
We're not going to stick Trae Young on Steph Curry because that's not your strength. But just because you on Draymond don't mean get lost on the floor or whatever. But DeJounte Murray, DeAndre Hunter, and Clint Capella alone make you elite defensively. And you just kind of go from there because all three of them can be our defensive team.
No, fact. And like you say, shout out to Travis Schlenk, who, saw that he made some mistakes trying to hold on to too many of the players because you think you're building for something. He started, and he started to correct himself as the course of last season went on, even going into this year, like say getting off Gallo and Kevin Huerter.
You made the Eastern Conference Finals young. I don't mind, especially because they didn't expect to go to the Eastern Conference Finals.
You automatically think running back.
Right, and it's running back and get these players who got us there the opportunity to show us that, all right, we could tell. I'm not mad at that. Because you have a couple years to play with, and the fact that they still made the playoffs show that the talent is there. So it's like we're not trying to sabotage, but let's see if y'all can do it again. All right, y'all can't do it. Cool. We are focused on getting back, so let's fit our direction. Which was good about these deals that he gave. That whole thing was all about the deals. Kevin Huerter's deal was good because he's a solid player. So if I need to move him, I can move him. Bogey's deal was always good. Gallinari's deal, and it was said when he signed the deal, like, all right, if we need to move him in 2 years, he has the deal to do it. And 2 years after he signed, 3 years after he signed, he'll be able to do that. So I'm not mad at Travis is clearly playing with a plan. I will be honest. I want to see I like that they want to do it. I want to see how it works with DeJounte and Trae. I don't really think Nate is the coach, but I don't think the Hawks are in position to relieve Nate of his of his duties also, though. So that's the other little hiccup, because that's when you start playing the game. You know what I mean? Because if y'all do finish a certain way, you got to move on from him. You got to at least get the next coach another year.
Right.
So, I mean, that's a whole nother story to a bunch of other stuff. I don't mean to throw Nate on the bus on this random day. I just personally don't really think he's the coach that leads. When you got a player like Trae Young, who you're looking at that could be an MVP candidate, you just gotta be thinking championship, and I don't really know if Nate is a championship coach.
No, yeah, I guess.
Respectfully, he's a really good coach,
but he's not the next level coach to get him there. No, I feel you.
I don't think so.
No, in fact, I feel you. The Minnesota Timberwolves and the Utah Jazz.
Probably the biggest trade of the summer so far. Until if or when Kevin Durant get traded.
Right, it's both intriguing, interesting, and confusing at the same time. Of course, the Utah Jazz sent the Minnesota Timberwolves, Rudy Gobert, and some trade swaps. The Minnesota Timberwolves traded Patrick Beverly, who realtor gotta be tired at this point. I'm just playing. Malik Beasley. I think it was Vanderbilt, which I don't get that trade. Like, why would you trade him? He was good 4 off the bench, and I think it was 6 picks. 3 unprotected, 3 protected. Basically 9 picks. 3 unprotected, 3 protected, and 3 pick swaps. The 3 unprotected picks didn't belong to Minnesota. The 3 protected picks did. So now you're gonna have a pair, and the starting lineup looks so far is gonna be looking like D'Lo until he gets traded, because he did. Basically after that he's gonna get traded. Anthony Edwards. I don't know who the 3 is going to be.
Probably McDaniels.
Yeah, McDaniels. My bad. Shout out McDaniels. Karl Anthony Towns at whatever, for now, Twitter people saying he's his natural 4 position, and Rudy Gobert. Of course, everybody's going to judge and say, the first thing they're going to say is you can't go with 2 bigs in this era of basketball. Why would you go with 2 bigs and small ball? You're going to get ran off the court, threes and all this, that, and the third. Which, I mean, I get that, but I think that's the small way to looking at it, or the short way to look at it, however you want to say it.
That's an uncreative way to look at basketball.
There you go.
You can play basketball with any kind of lineup. Any kind of lineup. If you have talented players that can do it.
No, facts. Thank you for having my back on that, because that's exactly what I was
any kind of lineup. We just saw Boston do it, and the Warriors won the championship. Salute to them, but they didn't win the championship because Robert Williams and Al Horford couldn't play on the court at the same time. That's not why Boston lost the championship.
Played because Steph Curry was the best player. They lost because Steph Curry was the best player on the court. But getting this, and of course, like I'm already, because it's not even like it's a offensive combo down there, or defense. This is definitely an defensive to entire type of combo, which I don't mind, because Karl Anthony Towns now does get to play on the perimeter a little bit more. And like I said, it's just all dependent on the creativity. It's all that's where exactly what it's like. I said, it depends on the creativity of the coach and what they do to keep both players involved, which I feel like they will, especially if they keep D'Angelo Russell, or if they find a player of similar or better talents that can that's still looking to get the player involved. Me personally, I feel like the part that a lot of that people may be missing, they got rid of a lot of guards, which I think they're expecting a lot out of Anthony Edwards this year, regardless of who they traded for. And just how do you think this team gonna mesh together? Like when you're just looking at it right now, because they could still make other moves.
Well, for one, I mean, to break in Gobert, a player that what area of the floor he's mainly gonna take up, but he's also not coming in kind of demanding the ball. That doesn't necessarily take away from your scores that you already have. I'm a real big component of great players playing like great players. Like, great players can play with anybody. Right. You can mesh your game. Everybody wondered how Wade and LeBron was going to be able to work, and they was able to do it, because that's what great players, that's what you're able to do. I think this year, Karl Anthony Towns made All-NBA. He says that he's the best shooting big man of all time. People say stats prove that because of his percentages or whatever. I do believe he's one of the best shooting bigs of all time. Don't believe he is the best.
Right.
But it's an opportunity to up his game. Like, I'm also a big component, like we talk about it all the time, I'm a big component of top 3 and 4 picks being a top 3 or 4 pick, meaning being a top player in the league. Right. So this opportunity for Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns to get better. We know that y'all can score the ball. I think Ant's going to finish top 5 in scoring this year. We've seen Cat average 25. But this is a chance for Ant-Man and Karl Anthony Towns to up their assists more. It's gonna be opportunities for some high-low situations with Karl Anthony Towns and Gobert. So I hope he played with KG a few years. I hope he learned how to navigate that elbow area with Kevin Garnett. And this is a chance for Anthony Edwards. You play some pick and roll with Gobert, play some pick and pop with Cat, and I mean D'Angelo Russell. You're in the best situation because all you gotta do is feed these dudes the ball and take over in the fourth quarter. Like this, if you be healthy and eat, you good. Like you got a pick and pop partner, you got a pick and roll partner. You have a dominant two guard. Gobert's going to help the commitment to defense. I think Anthony Edwards is going to commit to a different level on the perimeter defense this year because he's so physically imposing and just gifted. He could be the best defender in the league, perimeter defender in the league if he wanted to. And I think he'll take the challenge of doing that because he just like being great overall. I think he want to make an all-defensive team. I think it works. I get why people have their will it work, because for it to work, people have to change their games or not even change your game, play your game. It's basketball. It's a long game. It's going to be opportunities for Cat to play on the post. It's going to be opportunities for Gobert to get touches on the post if that's what he want. There's going to be opportunities for D'Lo to go ISO, for Ant to go ISO. It's literally going to be times where it's just one of y'all on the court or it's two of y'all on the court. I'm going into the season with all four. I don't care what D'Angelo Russell wants. I'm going to the season with all four. And it'll never be a second of the game where one of them not on the court. Really, probably two of them.
I will go with two.
Really, probably two, but I can see where you had them games where you might just have one of them on the court.
D'Angelo Russell probably. I don't want them two on the court by themselves, like more than the
more than the other ones. But I'll be okay if I needed to go 2 minutes, and even if it's just Rudy Gobert on the court. That's his time to up his game.
Right. So
I think it's worked. I think it works. I get why people question it because it's something they don't see no more. But you just gotta have. If you have an idea of how you want to play, I think it works because just because one, we know that Cat can shoot. So Gobert doesn't shoot. It still doesn't mean like the paint is gonna be packed because Cat has perimeter skills and. Literally, you can fill the rest of the roster out with shooters, knowing this is what we already have in these guys. You get a utility guy like McDaniels that can, he's gonna defend. He can shoot a little bit. He can dribble a little bit. Then you get your shooter. You get another rebounder. I mean, people so fixated on positionless basketball, and I still just think like people just don't understand what it really means. Like positionless basketball isn't just that. Positionless basketball is that I can play two centers on the court. That's what it is. Right. I mean, if we can put 2 point guards on the court with Trey and DeJounte, why can't two centers work? We see in Cleveland they got basically Lauri Markkanen was never a center, but Evan Mobley probably would be a center
without Jared.
But realistically, he fits better at the 4. But people, you just look at the height and stuff like that, and that's also what's not attached to it. You could be a 7-foot power 4, 6. I mean, Cat is 6'11" anyway, right? So. It can work. They still got to build out their team. Right. I think that this team should be thinking Western Conference Finals already because you got an All-NBA player, you got 2 All-Stars, 2 All-NBA players, 2 All-Stars, and this year, like Anthony Edwards should have been an All-Star, but he's going to be an All-Star this season. D'Angelo Russell's a former All-Star. You really have 3 All-Stars and a possible All-Star on your roster already before the season starts.
Right.
D'Angelo Russell has made the All-Star team, so he's an All-Star no matter what people think about it. That's a start. Everybody don't have 2 All-NBAers, 3 All-Stars, and a player that we all clearly see he's about to be an All-Star on the roster. So,
right.
I mean, it's going to be for the coach to be creative with the lineups he runs, the minutes he plays the players, and it's gonna be on the players to get better. Like players have to get. I'm all for that. They have. What pick was Cat?
First.
Cat won 1, right? So y'all got 2 number 1 picks. Gobert's an All-NBAer. D'Angelo Russell was a number 2 pick.
Yeah.
They should be thinking Western Conference Finals this year.
I feel you.
Not picking them to go, but if you add the right pieces to this team, that's a Western Conference Finals team.
No, I get you. I definitely.
And these, I mean, other than Ant is going to year 4, 3, going to year 3. Everybody else is like that. I know they're young, but y'all vets. You know what I mean? Y'all vets at this point. D'Lo's a vet. Cat's a vet. Gobert is a vet. And yeah, they vets. They should be thinking Western Conference Finals.
No, yeah, I think just before we move on again.
Who's the coach? Chris Finch, right?
Yeah.
Chris Finch.
Like Utah's the other team in the trade. This showing right now it seems as they're picking, Donovan over Rudy Gobert, but Donovan can still leave or something like that.
I've seen they said that they're gonna build a team around them.
But looking at what they did, getting all these guards, like I said, Vanderbilt was the only big they got in this. They had number one best record 2 years ago. Made the playoffs again last year. Like I said, they're planning on building around Donovan Mitchell. How successful do you think Utah's going to be this year? Do you think they're going to take a step back?
Does playing around Donovan Mitchell mean, because are they taking this year? My only question is, are they taking this year are you retooling the team? Because you trade Royce O'Neal, who's a starter, to get some picks, Gobert to get picks. You could be doing like Portland was thinking last year, but you just started the offseason, so you have a full year to do it. Because if I'm Donovan Mitchell, after making the playoffs every year in my career, I'm not going into a rebuild. And I'm not even saying that to be selfish, hey, I got to do this or that. I've been in the playoffs. But I think you could convince him to we're going to retool. We're going to compete this year. We got some picks. If we can make the play-in, let's get in there. But truthfully, we're not trying to make the finals this year. I don't think there's nothing wrong with retooling your team for 1 year. We already got you. You're 4 or 5 years in, so we know you. Cause he should be 4 or 5 years in at this point. So we know you're young, but you're on the clock at the same time too. Right. More so, you're on the clock because you've been competing more so than your age. Honestly, you come in competing, you don't want to revert. So that's just it seems like you still got Mike Conley on the team, Jordan Clarkson. So it is still opportunities there with those picks that you could trade for other players. But I really think they might just be trying to retool for a year, because even if you make the play-in but don't make the playoffs, you still get a lottery pick and you still got a plethora of other picks to trade up for a higher pick. Right, so you don't have to necessarily have the worst record in the league to get a top pick, honestly. So, and Danny Ainge is there, and Danny Ainge was a big factor in Boston winning while rebuilding at the same time, retooling at the same time. Boston never just fell into the lottery based off of what they were doing, but somehow ended up with 2 top 3 picks. Remember, they had the number 1 pick and traded down. Still got Tatum at 3. Got Jaylen Brown at 3. Tatum went 3, right? Yeah, got him at 3. So that's what Danny Ainge is there, and that's what he's doing. So that might be the plan. Or maybe we see Donovan Mitchell leave. But I think if they keep the team they got, they're going to the season with Donovan Mitchell. They're trying to compete for the play-in. Don't really care if they make the playoffs or not, but trying to compete for the play-in. And they're going to try to retool. Right. Nice. Maybe Donovan's on his way to Portland to play with Dame.
He's been in New York. He's been in New York a lot lately. Hanging with a couple of Knicks players.
He from New York. He been working out with Chris Brinkley, Louisville. Donovan Mitchell is literally in New York every summer. I know that's the sexy story right now because he get traded, but Brinkley's literally they both in Louisville. That's literally been his training since he came into the league. He's in New York every summer. Sorry to kill Nick's dreams. He may still get traded there, but that's not why he's in New York.
But like I said, it's the summer, so a lot of players are re-signing big contracts. Some Ricky's extensions, some Ricky Max's, Devin Booker signed. I don't even want to go through this because I like I say, I really don't want to talk about how much money these.
Yeah, we ain't got to talk about it.
But two interesting ones in their own perspectives. Excuse me, John Morant and Miles Bridges. I'm gonna start with Miles Bridges because this is one of those where it's like it's not his on the court that's affecting what's happening to him. Is really him as a person, which started not even when the incident with him and his wife. I think.
Yeah, but his wife. I'm not sure. I noticed his kid's mom. So.
Right, but like that's why I've been seeing people saying that's his wife, so that's why. But him and her, he put hands on her. Like I say, I'm not gonna go into too many details about it, but hands were put on. He put hands on her, which now the Charlotte Hornets are rescinding their qualifying offer back from him,
right? And
which makes him an unrestricted free agent.
Yeah.
And me and you've been talking about this a while. Not necessarily, what happened between him and his wife, but
not even about that.
But where does how does he, where does he go from here as far as contracts go? Because
and not even just for him, I just feel like what I was saying, because obviously we know what the conversation is going to be. It's the domestic violence. He's probably going to get suspended, even if he's suspended for a year from the NBA.
Right.
That's not a career ban. So my main question, I guess, where I was going with it, I'm not even finna get into anybody's opinion, because I think I'm real good with just playing in the middle. I'm not even speaking on emotions. Everybody's emotions is he shouldn't play in the NBA again, and cool. But we are the ones that make that decision. So after the NBA suspends him, he's an unrestricted free agent. Does someone offer him a deal? He was about to get his rookie extension, so he's a young player. Just came off a career year.
It's supposed to be $173 million in total for 5 years. Was gonna be his contract offer from Charlotte.
So I just wondered, does someone offer him a deal? And if someone does, I'm sure it's not gonna happen. I'm sure there's no way for even it to happen. But if they get a deal, I feel like Charlotte deserves compensation if somebody gets a deal, because they basically have to release him, even if they kind of wanted to bring him back, because they could say, like I said, this is what could happen. Whatever. This is Hoopers. We don't gotta be all disclaimer free for people. But Charlotte can say, all right, whatever. The NBA's gonna suspend him. This is the first time he's legally been in trouble. They could have offered him a deal, but they're not. And now somebody else will get the opportunity to get him, because he sits out for a year. If the NBA suspends him for a year but doesn't ban him, which means they can legally offer him a contract. And then somebody offers this young player that just came off a career year a deal, and Charlotte kind of had to not offer him a deal, because if they do, it's already going to be the Michael Jordan don't know what he's doing, the outrage of offering someone that just did this a deal. Don't know what's going to happen in his future, but I just feel like Charlotte should be compensated if somebody offers him a deal. I just think he's too young to be blackballed. Players in this situation, they might have not gotten another deal if he was older, but to be a young player coming off a career year, even if he gets suspended for a year, and I feel like somebody's gonna offer him a deal.
And the Miles Bridges is, like you say, his whole summer has kind of been not what you want from a player.
Starting with the fake lean, whether it was lean or not lean, and the weed.
Right, that's not where you want to start your offseason, especially when you're expecting to get the rookie max that he was going to get. And it's like funny because, of course, people on the Twitter, NBA Twitter specifically, somebody was like, basketball players don't come from the trenches anymore. And Miles Bridges quote tweeted that, saying people just be saying anything. And it was like, of course, the other one, Miles Bridges, is the first person that want to make it out of the NBA.
Yeah,
and it's like, Miles Bridges, this is why no matter what the NBA does, I know they got the programs for the rookies that come in at the beginning of the year where they say, try to avoid these things, and this is what we expect out of you, not only as a basketball player, but as a professional and as a person. You can have all those things in line. A person is a person. They gonna do what they want to do at the end of the day. This is on Miles Bridges, and this is on Miles Bridges people not actually telling him, like, you've got a chance to lose out on a lot of money, right?
Right.
At the end of the day, like, Miles Bridges made a mistake. If the NBA suspends him for a year or whatnot, because it is what it is, though, and he made that mistake, and he gonna have to live with that until he gets back in the NBA if he is suspended. Now, Zion Williams, he's also getting the rookie max. I think he was getting the $173 million as well. And of course, people.
He's 190.
190. Okay,
yeah, 193. Zion is also, him and Ja Morant both got the 190, 230. If they make All NBA, I think their deal should automatically be 230, because Zion and Ja Morant have both already made All NBA. Just the NBA is abusing the Derrick Rose rule, and that's the only reason why I'm even mentioning their money.
Right. But Zion is going to sign a new contract. Like I said, he's going to sign that extension. And a lot of people have been questioning, not necessarily because the talent isn't there or they don't think he can live up. I don't know why you got to live up to a certain amount of money, but whatever. Or they don't think he's going to live up to the expectations of
Zion?
Yeah. Because he's only played so many games in it. Like, the thing with Zion is he's played so many games, and it's worse than the Michael Porter situation, where at least I think we've gotten more looks out of Michael Porter to see what kind of player he could be than Zion. Even though when Zion was out there, he was a 27-7 type of player. If you're the Pelicans, of course, you kind of have to take that risk, because you also want to show players that if we feel like you're part of the future, we're going to make sure you're here. We're going to give you what you earned or what we think you deserve. Do you automatically take that risk this year? or do you let him finish this contract out? Which I know you, as a player, you already would do that anyway. Finish your contract out, not sign the extension. But would you let him just play this last year out and then re-sign him next year to a contract and risk him walking because you didn't give him the extension?
If I'm the team, no, because next year means unrestricted free agency. If you don't give him the extension, if you just give him a qualified offer. If I'm the team, that means unrestricted free agency. That means a bigger contract. You're making an investment. All this is an investment. You're making an investment. They've been seeing how he's been working. They've been seeing, the shape that he's gotten himself in. He looks like he's ready to play. He was ready to play at the end of the season last year, but they had a course they were going to, so they kept him out. The one time he played a full season, he started in the All-Star game, made All-NBA, averaged 27 points per game. I'm giving Zion $190 million, and if he never plays another game, I'm living with the regret. And I've been the leader of the maximize his prime guy. I'm that guy. That's what this deal says to me. Maximize his prime. You invest in him. If Zion is healthy, that's literally the only if there is for him, because Zion likes to play, which I always love in players like him. He likes to play, so he's going to want to be on the court. Right. He's not a selfish player. He plays hard. He commits to playing defense. He's everything that you want really in a go-to player. Like, no matter what I think about him as far as if he is that game changer, I just think some of his deficiencies, you put Zion with somebody else, and that's where you get championship. But make no mistake about it, he is a key piece to the championship. If Zion wins a championship, he's going to be in running for finals MVP. I don't think he's ever going to be the best player in the NBA, but I think he's going to be a top 10 player in the NBA if he stays healthy, just with everything he could do as far as he can pass the ball pretty well. He handles the ball good enough for me. Like, you just put him in situations he can do what he does. His shot, I think, can get better where you just got to be a respectable shooter. I don't want Zion shooting 10 threes even if his shot was amazing. I don't want him just shooting threes all game. So I 100% give Zion this deal. I 100% don't play the game of if he becomes a free agent next year and he stays healthy, because if he stays healthy and he can choose where he wants to go, who knows if he's going to choose to stay in New Orleans, especially if he's healthy. If y'all didn't give him this money, now it's like, all right, y'all didn't even really believe I was going to be healthy this year. Y'all didn't even, I can see him turning down the extension and you not offering it is two different things. Like, if he's like, all right, I want to play the year out, I don't want the extension, that's on him. But if you don't offer him that deal, he ain't signing back. It's like really kind of that simple. I think if I'm the player, I'm always for players where I would never sign an extension. I would play my deal out. It's easier to get a better raise that way, even if you just want to stay. But I get why players sign their deals, especially the rookie extension deal, like this $190 million. You know what I mean? So I think Zion's gonna be healthy next year. I hope that he's gonna put injury history in his past, and in a couple of years we won't even have to think about it. I don't expect him to play 82 games next year because he didn't play this year. But it'd be nice to see him play 65 games next year. But you definitely give Zion that deal.
No, yeah, that's fair. That's definitely fair. All right, so
1 year he played, he was an All-Star, he was All-NBA. The 1 year he played a full season. This the NBA. Like, these the best players. And I know he was a starter because was it Kevin that was hurt? So he got to start because a player was out, but he was on the team, and the starter is usually the next lead. So the starter is usually the next leading voter. So that means you got the fanfare, the game that he was just already there, the potential of the game. Yeah, you got to give him that deal.
No, like I said, just real quick before we get out of here. The Knicks, looks like the Knicks got their point guard they've been looking for. They're not necessarily a stopgap guy in Jalen Brunson. Say 4 years, $104 million. I know Knicks fans and just people, I ain't gonna say Knicks fans, I ain't gonna include them this time, my bad, y'all. But I know when I'm talking about the Knicks, you can either get people who super praise them or they just don't care what moves they make. And I'm not asking you if you care, if you think this is a good move or not. Do you think this is one of those moves that's in the right direction, though, like for the Knicks? Like even throwing in them signing Mitchell Robinson back to a second contract. Like, do you think they're making the right steps in the right direction?
Yes, because the Knicks aren't playing the draft game. They've made the playoffs. You have young players, but the players that you're really looking to see take the next step, RJ in particular, because you look at RJ as being your all-star player, you want him competing. I know Jalen Brunson stayed in school for a couple years, so he's 25, even though he's been in the league 3 years, I believe, 4 years he's been in the league, so not bad. He's not an old player, but he's not a super young player. That's just what some people would say.
Right.
But to get him, he fits with your core of what you're trying to do going forward. He's a player that played well in the playoffs. $100 million for 4 years. I liked him better. Don't matter. I'm glad he got $100 million. I thought he could have got a little less, but as a starting point guard in the NBA, it's not surprising.
We can talk about that.
It's not surprising for a starting point. Starters are going to make $20 million. Yeah, that's what it is. Starters make $20 million. Key rotational pieces make 10. Like PJ Tucker just got. PJ Tucker just got $30 million for 3 years. That's what real role players, you're gonna get 10 a year. A starter, like, he's not coming in competing for the starting job. You're our starting point guard. Not your our franchise saving point guard, but we know the Knicks aren't looking for a point guard unless an all-star becomes, John Morant comes available and you got a chance to get him. Then obviously you take the all-NBA player. Right. Starting point guards are gonna make 20 to 25 million a year. That's out the way. But he works with what you're trying to do. He can handle the ball, but he also can play off the ball because he just plays so much with Luka. So that also puts you in the mindset of, all right, we can put the ball in RJ's hands more going forward too. Dude that's gonna play his role, play defense. He averaged 16. Like I feel like if he averaged the exact same numbers, which he's gonna get better, but if he's around the same numbers next year as he's on this year, it was good money spent. 16 points per game, 4.8 assists. He shot 37% from 3, 50% from the field. What was he from the free throw? 84 from the free throw line. Like, I could see all those nudge a little bit more, where maybe I still see him at about 16, but maybe he gets to about 5.4 assists, something like that. I like him at 3.9 rebounds. He's getting in there working. He went to Villanova. I think he won both championships at Villanova.
No, I think he was on one.
He's just on one national champion.
But he was.
That's a good player.
I think he was the most outstanding player in the Final Four, though.
Right. Jalen Brunson is the pick.
Most outstanding player. He was actually won Player of the Year.
Jalen Brunson is the pick where, when, like you say, you keep Mitch around, so you just keep in you just keep the same player. You building the chemistry of the same players. You building your identity. Jalen Brunson is a player that you add to a team where it's like, I got these young players that are ready to take the next step. He's a young player, but he's mature also, so he's there to lead our team. The Knicks expect RJ to average 30 next year. Not 30 realistically, but they expect him to have the mindset of, I'm the best player on this team. Right. I can get 23 a night. So I don't expect RJ. That's fair, though. I don't expect him to average 30 next year, but I'll be lying to you. If RJ averages anything less than 22 points, I'd probably be disappointed. Unless he averages 20 on, because you can average 20 on crazy efficiency numbers.
He did end the year averaging 20.
20, yeah.
So I think
anything less than 20, I'll be really disappointed, but I'm really looking at RJ at like 23 a game next year.
And like you say, with Jalen Brunson playing with Luka and having played, not even just playing with Luka, like I say, putting up good numbers last year, averaging 16, and then what he did.
16-4 and 4, 15-4 and 4, basically 16-5 and 4.
Right.
That's not bad.
And like I said, that's playing next to Luka, who Luka's going to control the offense.
RJ finished the year averaging 20, so we already know he could average 20. Anything less than that, then like I'm telling you, like 23 a game.
No, yeah. And like I say, with Jalen Brunson having a good season playing next to Luka, and the fact that I feel like more of the better point guards in the Western Conference, so he's not gonna have to play like Steph 4 times a night, Ja 4 times a night. Not saying that there's any slouches in the Eastern Conference,
but that helps.
No, it helps. It
not
helps.
have to play them
but
4 times.
How well do you think he's gonna? Not necessarily how well you think he's gonna help RJ, but how do you think it's the exact fit that you want for a point guard, shooting guard combo with RJ and Jalen Brunson. Because Jalen Brunson isn't a shoot heavy, even though he isn't necessarily, like say, he's not 8 assists, but he definitely runs the offense in different type of ways that's not going to lead to 8 assists, but it's going to lead to easier shots.
I just think he's going to be a good compliment for him because he's going to allow him to do his thing, but then he's also going to run the team. He's going to handle the ball. He's going to be real Fred VanVleet to me. I'm a big fan of Fred. Fred knows that Pascal is their best player. They know that Scotty Barnes is their future. But just off of being who he is, he was able to be an all-star this year. He's not going to be scared to take big shots. He's going to run the team. If I don't want to give you the ball right there because it don't make sense, I'm not going to give you the ball. We're going to run something else. And even though I'm looking to pass, if I need to take this shot, I'm going to take it. And I think that's what Jalen will do.
Right.
But he knows this is RJ's show. I think he's going to help Cam next year, Cam Reddish. I know Knicks fans loved him at first, and then a lot of them are ready to get rid of him now. But if they just need Cam, we were saying it in the Hawks in Atlanta for a while. If Cam comes in there next year healthy, he does stuff that even RJ can't do. I know that's always been the thing with Cam, right? He does stuff that a lot of these players can't do. Yeah. But realistically, if he's healthy, that makes RJ feel comfortable too, because we went to school together, and you start building with Jalen and RJ and Obi and how hard that Obi plays. Emmanuel quickly as a sixth man, because I think that's just the best role for him. I don't really feel like he should have been a starting point guard. I know what he did at the end of the year, but I don't see him as a starting point guard. Right. Maybe he can get there one day, but I don't think he's there right now. Yeah. But they could play together too, also, if you needed them to. I think the Knicks are putting themselves in a position to continue to compete, to grow their younger players, and then you draw quality free. And I'm not just talking about big name free agents. You draw quality free agents, right? Quality, like Jalen Brunson, be able to draw a quality free agent. I mean, helps that his dad works there and CAA runs it. You know what I mean? It all helps, but he understands what they're trying to build there. So.
And before we get out of here, a player you didn't mention who was a big key to their success is going to the playoffs a couple years ago was Julius Randle.
Oh yeah.
Where does Julius Randle fit in this? And before you answer that, the Knicks three best players are all left-handed. But where does Julius Randle fit into this equation?
Honestly, I'm surprised they haven't moved Julius. I don't know if he's a part of their future, which is why I would move him if I'm shifting more things to RJ, because we seen the best out of Julius was, honestly, he still, Julius to me, he still can play with this team because he's offensively really gifted, and you still need that player. He can handle the ball, he can pass, he can shoot. I just think if he comes in this year, have a great season, what helped his 3-point percentage, I think he settled for a lot of threes last year, while the year before he took his open threes. Right. And I just think it's a difference, and he just fell into threes. But playing in the mid-range game, being able to shoot the three, I think Julius, I think he could work there. But realistically, in the real world, I feel like they probably end up having to move him, start making space for Obi. And the question, I guess, is then what are you trying to get for Julius Randle? Right. But I'm not mad at Julius still being on the team. I'm just surprised he's still there.
All right. But other than that, you got anything else?
I guess that's all for today. Just as always, appreciate everyone that checks these pods out. You can find us anywhere podcasts are available: Apple, Google, iHeartRadio, Spotify, all those cool places. We drop in every Monday, typically every Monday. This will probably still be out today. It's Monday, currently July 4th, so we're recording this right now. We'll probably drop it later today. I think we're gonna go live this week, but usually every Wednesday on the Off the Ball Network's Facebook page, the Hoopers YouTube page, and the Hoopers Twitter page, we'll put out if we're going live or not this week before you know it. But either way, go to YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube page, the Hoopers Pod on YouTube. You can watch some old videos, new stuff coming soon. Deep into the summer right now, so we cooking up the summer content and then even getting ready for next season already. So just appreciate all the support, and that's all I got.
I'm John W.
It's Fresh Hits.
And we are the Hoopers.